Hey.
So we had a little bit of technical problems, but now we're finally up and running. And
Mhm.
it's a good time to talk about small business and all the challenges I'm sure they're facing if us social media experts are having the same difficulties. I have Christina Wood here. Christina is a friend of mine from Hack. She currently works in admissions, and she's also an affiliate of the Small Business Guide. She's going to ask me a couple of questions to help you in understanding why this guide could be valuable to your business.
That's right. And I do want to say that I had the pleasure of reading the entire manual or guide the whole way through, and it was an easy read. It was very simple, and I definitely think that a lot of small business owners are absolutely going to benefit from this. So it's a pleasure being an affiliate, especially for this product. So thank you, Rachel, for having me on board.
Absolutely.
All right, so just to start us off, one of my questions is, what are some of the challenges that small business owners face, and how do these challenges impact their social media presence?
Well, that's a great question. There are many challenges small business owners face even before social media entered the picture. One is time. It's obvious that small businesses have limited resources, so they're stretched thin on time. And they're often the first to respond to customer service requests. So it seems to be that their marketing tends to come last for themselves in terms of trying to help out with their customers. Resources, money, social media knowledge in and of itself is also really challenging to a business owner. I know for myself, it's hard to keep up with all the social media changes, so I can't even imagine what a small business owner must be going through.
Sure, sure, absolutely. And it's interesting because I have a number of friends who are business owners or small business owners themselves. And every time I talk to them about social media, they all say the same thing. They know they need it, or they may say they have a Facebook account, but they just really don't have the time because the business takes up so much of their day-to-day activities. And so they're really not doing too much with it. And so, I definitely think that this is going to be a great start for them, finding ways to incorporate it into their time. And I know without giving too much away, I know there's some great tips in the guide about how to integrate a lot of things that businesses are already doing for marketing purposes, but also kind of dovetailing their social media initiatives with that. So I think that'll really be helpful for them. All right, next question. How does your product, a small business owner's guide to social media, offer a solution to these challenges?
Well, one, it gives them a plan of attack using the resources that they do have. So many times, social media folks will tell people, well, here's what you need to do. But to even get from point A to point B is a whole nother ball game. So what we're going to do is start them out where they're at. Regardless of where you're at in a small business, if you're just starting up, if you've already landed a whole bunch of pages, but maybe they're lying dormant, or maybe you consider yourself a social media pro, this guide will pick you up where you're at. And the most important thing is I feel that I simplify everything for them. There's so much information out there that it's hard to decipher what you should really be paying attention to. We also suffer from the shiny new object syndrome. So as soon as something new comes to play, oh, we need to hop over there and do that too. So this really keeps your goals in check and in alignment with where you need to go with social media. I also have exercises at the end of every module that will allow the small business owner to apply everything that we have learned in the guide to their own business. And I think that's really important. Is any social media person can tell you, you should do this, should do that, but how is that applicable to your business? So we'll walk through a series of questions that will help to answer those questions.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like that because I think it makes it more of a relationship building tool, especially between, like, say, if it was someone like you that was helping to walk them through their plan, it's not really a matter of you or even the guide itself telling the business owner, well, you need to do X, Y, and Z. It's
Right.
actually giving them an opportunity to walk through in their mind, like, what do I need? What is it that I'm trying to accomplish? It kind of helps to that free thinking, and so they really start to analyze what they actually need and then what tactics are going to be most beneficial for them to accomplish the goals that they have. So I really like how that's laid out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mhm. And did you have that in mind then when you laid it out that way?
Absolutely, because it's not easy to try to market your own business, let
Mhm.
alone trying to market your own business in the way that social media has transformed. And it's not easy to take what you've done in traditional media and make that applicable to social media. So I really want to give them a guide for how they can take this thing and make it work for them. And I feel like that's what we've done. I mean, all feedback so far has been really positive, but it breaks it down simply because the more complex we get with it, the more people are going to just say, well, I'll wait till another time to do this. And really, the time to do this is now. So, how do we get started?
Absolutely. And just one more thought that I had on that was, I really like the layout because it's not a once and done thing. I think the way that the questions are systematically laid out, it leaves room for if a business owner has to go back and reevaluate their tactics, which I know
Hmm.
that is something that you advise, is that they periodically set times to reevaluate what they've done. I think they can ask those questions again and again and again because their goals are
Yes,
going to change from quarter to quarter, from year to year, depending on
right.
how the business is doing and what focus that they're thinking about right now. So, I think that that's going to be helpful for them.
Absolutely.
All right, what makes your product different from others on the market?
While one is it's built exclusively for small business owners, there are so many things out there that will tell you how to monetize on social media and on online marketing. But many of those give examples that are focused toward the bigger businesses. I mean, anybody can use Zappos as a great example of how you can utilize social media. But what about the small business next door? And my goal with this was to really show small business owners that, believe it or not, they have the advantage in the social media scene and how they can leverage that and integrate it into their business without having to reinvent the wheel. So, first and foremost, it's built exclusively for the small business owner. Second, it explains the why and the how. And what I mean by that is a lot of people out there will say, you need to be on social media, and here's why. And again, show you examples of great big businesses that are monetizing on social media. But not many of them actually break it down to the how. How do I get on social media, and how do I make it work for my business? So explaining the why and the how is really important. Next is I absolutely have used everything in this guide that I have experienced with my own small business customers, real strategies, real formulas, real customers. The only thing that was made up in this guide was we actually created a fictitious business called the Green Machine that we ran through all of the examples so that a small business could apply it to their own business. But everything else in it is right from the things that I've done with my clients and all of the things that I've heard from them that worked and didn't work to form this guide. And finally, it's affordable. And I can tell you from creating other products on the web and seeing other products on the web, some people will offer products for thousands of dollars, some even a few $100s. And my product is only $149, and I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if in 30 days you went through this guide and you discovered that you don't like the content in it or you don't think it's applicable to your business, I'll be happy to refund your money, no questions asked.
Wow, that's pretty solid then. So you can't beat that. Absolutely. Wow. Again, I like that, and I have seen other products as well. I have an interest in social media, as you know, and so I do check out how other people package their products, and it is quite expensive. And
Mm-hmm.
so especially for small businesses, especially those that are maybe starting up, just starting up, and can't afford to really invest that kind of money in
Right.
things like this. I think this makes it real for them. It makes it simple, but then it doesn't break their bank either. So I think that that's really going to be a huge, selling point, I think, for the guide. So thank you for taking the time to
Sure.
create this because I think
Did
it's
you
going to help a lot.
um did you have anything that really stood out for you in these modules? I know that you read the entire guide. Did anything jump out at you that you would like to tell small business owners?
I think one of the things I wrote down, it was a quote that you said, and just to make sure I don't misquote, I wrote it down. I read, social media won't go away, but it will evolve. And so that really stuck out to me because I think that is, and I think you mentioned it as well, that a lot of times businesses think that, well, social media is just a fad for right now. And, people may like Facebook right now, but I'm not going to invest a whole lot of money into some, or time and energy into
Mhm.
something that's probably going to be a fly by night. And
Right.
while Facebook may not be around forever, I do agree that there will be other types of media, social media, that, that'll be the new wave of things. And so when you think of like instant messenger and how AIM was so big at
Mhm.
one time, and now people don't really use AIM, but they've moved to Google Chat, or they're going to Facebook Messenger, and so it keeps evolving. And so it's good to have guides like this to get business owners thinking about the ways that social media can help them, the way they can continuously stay engaged with their audience via the web, because the internet's not going anywhere and people are going to continue more and more to connect over the internet. And so I think this guide reminds them that, they do still have to keep these things in the forefront of their mind. It's not a secondary tactic anymore to get the word out about their business and the products that they offer and the services that they offer. So that quote, when I read that, I instantly wrote that down, because I do think it's important for people to remember that.
I'm really glad you said that because I have a lot of folks that say, "Oh, I'm really hoping this goes away," or, with all the changes that are going on, the market's oversaturated. I hear all kinds of excuses. Bottom line is, it's to me, it's kind of like learning a foreign language. The first time you learn a foreign language, because my first language that I learned was German, it was very, very hard. It is a foreign language.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I tried to learn Spanish, it was a little bit easier. So I feel that if you're on social media, and whatever may happen will happen, there's going to be changes, there will be new things, old things. You'll be able to grow a lot easier with it if you kind of work within those changes rather than trying to start from scratch. I think it's much easier to build yourself just moving over slightly than starting fresh. So I feel the time is now to really get on board and take your stake in the social media landscape.
Absolutely. And another thing I really liked, that really stood out to me, was the idea that, you don't have to jump out there and do everything at one time. I like that the questions kind of walk you through, like, what mediums do you really need to be on? Do you really need Facebook? Or, if your audience is mainly businesses, then LinkedIn may be the better social media network that you're on. It makes it easy enough that, hey, why don't you just pick two or three goals that you might have, that you'd like to meet, or two or three social networks that you'd like to use, and then find creative ways within those few choices to really make your business stand out. And I like the fact that you really stress that it's about a two-way conversation. It's not about just putting messages out there. I work for a college, and I know a lot of times we use mainly social media to notify students if things happen on campus, and obviously, if there's big announcements that we need to make, we make sure that the social media networks we're on carry that message. But our students have thoughts, they have input. It's a great way a lot of times when we're trying to update our policies or think of new initiatives that will be beneficial to our students. How great would it be to connect with them on Facebook, where most of them are anyway, and
Right.
get that conversation going? And so, that's just so important for business owners to know, or anyone using social media for business reasons, to know that it is about it being a conversation. It's a two-way conversation, and you have to have a plan to sometimes deal with the fact that there may be negative things
Yeah.
that people have to say. And how do you, develop a plan to field those things, and how does that continue to strengthen your relationships with your customers? So I do, that was another thing that it really stuck out to me.
Great. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people who are still scared of social media.
Mm-hmm.
What if somebody says something bad about me? And my response to that is they're going to do it anyway, so you may as well have a stake in that. You may as well be able to show your side of the conversation publicly, and be able to rectify it. I mean, let's face it, this is the way that it works in customer service situations. You
Mm-hmm.
really have to be able to respond to these things and make them better in order for your business to be better. And social media allows you a mass opportunity to do that. But I think so many people look at it in the wrong way. Oh, well, I'm going to get negative feedback, so I better just stay away from it. I mean, I could give you 100 excuses as to why you should not be on social media. Thinking of all of them in my head right now. But I can also think of about twice as many as why you should be on social media. And my thought is, if you buy this guide and you walk through the whole entire thing and you do not think that these things are going to help your business, or you don't see results in your business, then maybe social media isn't for you. And that's why I'm also offering the 30-day money-back guarantee. But I have a feeling if you have set measurable goals, you'll get there. Absolutely.
Yep, I agree. I do agree. So, and what I guess I'm kind of curious. I know that I noticed some things that really stuck out to me, or things that I really, really enjoyed about the guide. Was there any particular section of the guide that you really enjoyed writing, or that you really felt was kind of the one of the most important pieces of the guide itself?
That's a great question. Well, I can tell you that the most difficult one to write was the second module, which is on building your audience, because that's the question I get. A lot of people think that the more fans you have, or friends you have, or whatever it is, that's going to equate to more business. But a lot of them also don't understand how to fully build their audience and what the importance of having a strong audience is. And it took me about 14 rewrites on that module to get that where I wanted it to be and get the point across about the balance of having an audience and having strong content. But I'll say that if I had to really pick out fundamentals from this guide, the first one would be module 1. We're going to talk about the mediums for your business. Because like I said, we all suffer from the shiny object syndrome. So it's, oh, well, now I have to have this or this or this because it's new. MySpace is back. I need to be on that. You only need to be on that channel if A, you're going to dedicate the time to it, and B, your target audience is there. If you're trying to get on a channel because it's the new thing, you're getting on it for the wrong reasons. You're not going to monetize that way, and you're going to spin your wheels. But I think another important part of this guide was where I talk about content. Because content really is king. So what do you need to write to engage your audience and get them to be interested in whatever it is that you have, to the point where you get to that stage of the like, know, trust, and eventually buy. And I think we try to bypass that a lot of times. We just want to jump to the buy stage. But it's about that conversation in between where you're building that relationship. And it starts with content. And so I really wanted to make sure that they understood that the content is fundamental to success on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another thing I really liked was the fact that you talk a lot about organizing your content, and that once you find kind of a game plan for what you're going to write about each month, that kind of really helps with coming up with things to write. And also just freeing up more time if you have the ability to plan that and organize it in such a way that it really won't be so difficult then for small business owners to be engaged in social media, because they won't spend, the majority of their time trying to think of content. So you give some really great tips on ways that you can organize those.
Right. And there are a lot of great ways to build content without having to reinvent the wheel. So I want people to leverage their strengths, leverage what they already have, and offer value to the audience that will build the relationship. And I'm not just telling you the why, I'm going to tell you the how. So you're going to have the opportunity to walk through all of this for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, again, I really enjoyed reading it. It was an easy read. I spent all last night. I had my Starbucks coffee, and I was kind of putting myself in the a mindset of a business owner. And actually, it's close to home because I am considering opening my own business, becoming a business owner myself within the next year or so. So it definitely got some creative juices flowing in my mind about how I would like to utilize social media for my business. So it was definitely a pleasure to read.
Fantastic. And that's actually a good point. Even if you're not a small business owner, there are so many fundamentals in this guide that will help you to grow whatever it is you're doing. Mm-hmm. I've had virtual assistants and social media managers tell me how valuable this guide is. Some of the folks that have purchased this guide are vice presidents in sales and bigger businesses. the concepts are still here, and it's applicable to just about anybody looking to leverage social media for business purposes. So I absolutely recommend that anybody that might be on the fence give it a shot for 30 days and see if it's for them.
Great.
So if anybody's looking to buy, you just want to go to strellasocialmedia.com/SMB dash guide. If you just go to strellasocialmedia.com, there will also be some information right on the homepage that will link you there as well. So I really thank you, Christina, for taking the time to talk with me, and I hope that we've offered some value and insight into the Small Business Guide.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure to be here. Thanks, Rachel.